Hi, over the course of the videos you'll have noticed that I've been using a right mouse click and a context menu quite a lot in the IDE. In this video we're going to be looking at creating our own context menu, hooking it up to a program and getting it working with one of our forms. So I'll be right back with all of that right after these words. Hi, you're listening to Martin and I'm back with another video in which I'm looking at getting started with OpenInsight 10, and today we're going to be having a look at the context menu builder. Now, we've been using context menus quite a lot while working with OpenInsight, and if I open up the MP Apps window, the appointments window, when I right mouse click on one of these controls, you'll see that we get a small menu come up which is contextual to the application. So within the context of the designer, I can cut, copy, delete, bring to front, bring to back, etc. If I click on another control, then I get a similar context menu, and again on that one. Now if I was to test run the application, you'll see straight out of the box, if I right mouse click on an edit line, we actually get a context menu. So I haven't got anything to cut, copy and paste in here. If I do 1, 2, 3, and now I've got cut and copy and undo and all sorts of things that are available to us right out of the box, and these are in context with where we are within the application. In the same way, if we go to the IDE and we do a right mouse click on MP Apps form, you'll see that we get a standard menu and at the bottom switch to start. Now if we go to start and I run the same context menu, you'll see now that we're switched to MP Apps. So in the context here, we're in start, so we can't jump to start, or we can't switch to start. We can only switch to MP Apps. And the same if we're in MP Apps, we can only switch to the start. So you need to think very, very carefully about the context of your application, what the users are doing, which functions are available to them, and then create one of these menus. And we use them extensively within OpenInsight 10, and users are getting more and more used to right mouse clicking to do things. So how do we go about adding a context menu to our appointment date edit line so that we have something that is different to the menu when we run it? So when we run it, if we remember, we simply get these options. There's no graphics, etc. If we go to File, New, Entity, and then into Windows UI Tools, Context Menu, and OK, we are then presented with the Context Menu Designer. It's a very simple window. We have a number of buttons at the top here for cut, copy and paste, indentation, delete, adding a separator, reordering our items. We also have an add menu item edit line. So if I go into here and I do undo and I click the add button, that will add that item into our graphical representation of our menu. In the same way, if I don't need new menu item, I can click on the delete to quickly and simply remove that. If I want to add a separator, just click the separator. Now the other thing that we can do is if I go cut and I hit return instead of the plus button, then OpenInsight 10 will leave me in that edit line, and then I can do copy, return and paste, return, and add in menu items very quickly. If I then want to add a separator, I am going to need to click back into that edit line to add in clear, and then I will add two more, which will be add today's date, and we'll do view the date picker. Let's just have a capital P in there. Okay, so that's what our menu is going to look like. We could leave that looking like that if we wanted to, but I want to add a few extra bits and pieces in here. So if we come across to the properties, in the help text we can add in some help text for our users. So undo the last command, and in the image we might want to add an image. Now I'm pretty sure I don't actually have one for undo. Let me just double check. No, I don't. So we'll cancel out of there. And now you see me do this quite a few times, so this should just be a refresher, and I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. We're going to go out, we're going to grab an image from our image library, PNG 16, and we will grab, have we got anything for undo? Yes we do. So we will copy and paste that into our copy of OpenInsight. I'm doing this as quickly as I can. I'm going to put it into buttons, although it's not necessarily a button, it's a menu item. It is a 16 by 16 graphic, so I think that's probably going to work, popping it into there. And we might want to use it on a button anyway, so it does make sense to have that there, and arguably a menu item could be deemed as a button. So next we want to have a calendar. Add in today's date preferences, that will do. Let's go back into OpenInsight, Clinic, Images, Buttons, and we'll drop that one in there. I think those are the only two that we need. So File, New, Entity, Image Component, and we got a couple of PNG files. So we'll grab the first one. Calendar preferences, keeping with our naming convention, we'll drop a 16 in there because it's a 16 by 16 image. File and save. Remember our naming convention. Okay, that. We'll go and grab the other one. So undo 16. That one there. Don't do save, we want to save as. Remember, if you do save, you're going to overwrite your calendar preferences image, which will be a bad thing. So we'll do a save as. Okay, that gives us our two images. So back into the properties, we will go and grab the undo image, and we can immediately see that that is included in our menu, or the visual display of the menu. So we'll do a cut, we'll do a copy, we'll do a paste, where's paste, there we go, clear. We're going to use the document new one, that one there. Add today's date. Ooh, I've got a typo in there. We'll grab calendar preferences, and in here we want to have change that up there to a capital T. That's better. Oh, need to remember to tab off, otherwise it doesn't take. Now you notice that sometimes it does this. If you add today's date, it's actually changed the next one, where I got a bit confused in there. So we'll just change this to view the date picker, just put that back to as it should be. There we go. And image, change that to calendar. Okay, so that looks a lot better. Now we could add in the help text for all of those, and there are a number of other options that we can do. So for instance, for initially we won't have anything in the clipboard, so we'll change paste to disabled, and we could automatically check and add other bits and pieces in here. But one of the things that is quite nice to do is to set the accelerator key, so we could have Control and C for copy, and we could have Control and V for paste, just picking up the usual Microsoft Windows defaults. I'm not going to do them all, but you can see how quickly it is to add the accelerator keys. So if we were to now save that context menu, so mp underscore context menu underscore appointment date, for instance, we'll just OK that, and we'll then go into the form and we'll test run it, and we click, we'll see that we still get our old context menu. So what we need to do within the Forms Designer is to select our edit line, and then under the context menu property, select that context menu that we just saved. Now when we test run the form, we should see our new context menu. So if one isn't defined, OpenInsight will run the default one, assuming there is one there. If we've defined one, then it will run ours. Now obviously this is not going to work at the moment because we haven't told it to do anything. Now previously we have told OpenInsight in menu items and the like how to do things using code, but you'll notice within this interface we are missing a scripts option, and the reason for that is all to do with the context. There is a lot more work that you need to do context menus properly. So the idea here is that we will have quick events that will launch a store procedure or your Windows Commuter Module, whatever you decide to have used. So if I go into undo, click on the quick event, and we will select to execute a store procedure, we can then go to the target, but you'll see that we don't have a store procedure or commuter module for our window. So let's just come out of here, we'll save and close, we will close out of the form, tools, source code, commuter module generator. Now I did a video on this in the last lesson, so if you haven't seen that video, please go and watch it. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. We're going to select our window, we'll compile now, we'll update and update existing events only. Our comments will be commuter module for the appointments window, because this is going to be a module that's going to do the whole of the window. Haven't got any pre or post events, I'm not going to worry about those. I'm just going to click create, save that, so we will view the code, and the code that has been generated is the code for all of the events on our window at the moment. Now notably in this version of OpenInsight the OI version is missing, so we will change that to 10.03 being the version that I'm working on. You can see I've got a spelling mistake there. Let's change that, and then we're into our standard code that we looked at in the last lesson with our declarations. Now one of the additional declarations that we need to add in here is $insert logical, because we want to have that code available to us as we're working. And then if we come down to the begin case section in here, I want to add a new case item, which I'll just copy in from elsewhere, which is very simply case event equals menu. So if we are passed in the menu, the context menu, then it will go sub on menu. Now we don't have an on menu option at the moment, we're going to need to create one. So if I just grab that code from Notepad, and we'll come down to the bottom here and we'll drop that just into this section here. So on menu, we're going to set the item name, we're going to check that it's a context menu, and then depending on the event that's passed, we're going to do a number of things. So we'll come back to that in a few minutes. And then there are a few lines of code that we need for some events that aren't already catered for within the system. And if we come to the very bottom here and we add in do display day lookup and do undo, that will satisfy the undo and the do display lookup. Now the other thing that I like to do in here is where it's moved my scripts over, I've got in some instances return 1 and return. I usually just take out the return 1s and the return 0s just to leave a return in there, because I just think it makes it a little bit tidier when we are working. Okay, so that I think should be the store procedure done. So we do a compile, that compiles successfully. We can then go back to the Commuter Module, sorry, not the Commuter Module, the context menu builder, and now we can come into here and we can select MP Apps Events. Now unfortunately, in the version that I'm running, we need to do that for every single one of our menu items, even though we are going to set exactly the same thing for every single one. Now I've been working with Bob Carton on the context menu builder leading up to putting this video together, and during our discussions we're hoping that a future version of OpenInsight, when you are creating menu items, it will automatically create all of these hooks for you, or create all of these quick events for you. So if when you are working with evaluation or the full version of OpenInsight you find that these are already set, don't worry, that's good. For now, if you're working with 10.03, I'm afraid that we have to do them all one at a time. Okay, so what I like to do then is just check undo, cut, copy, paste, clear, add today's date, and view the date picker. Just make sure that all of those are in there. So we will do a save, and then if we go back to our form and we do a test run, now if I were to select that date and I did a cut, it removes it. If I'm okay, I need to now check to see whether we got anything in the clipboard and enable the paste option. So again, this is an additional step that we would need to do within our Commuter module that I haven't done. So I'm not going to worry about that one, but we could add today's date. Okay, that hasn't actually worked, and viewing the date picker hasn't actually worked either. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is to look and see why. Now we could use the debug and the debugger to do that, but one of the things that I do know is that within the context menu builder, with my name I put an apostrophe in today's, which would be good from a visual point of view, but it is bad as far as the program is concerned. So what we'll do is we're just going to take the apostrophe out to mean it's add today's date, and then if we save and close that and we just have a look at the events procedure, then if I can locate where it is, you'll notice that the apostrophe has actually been moved by the Commuter module generator, and that's where that inconsistency was. So if we do a save and we do a test run, we'll see what we get this time. So if I right mouse click and add today's date, okay, that didn't actually work, and view the date picker, okay, that also didn't work. Let's have a look and see why. Okay, I'm not quite sure why, But if we go back to the appointment date here, for some reason the quick event for add today's date didn't save. So I suspect I probably did something wrong. So we'll do store procedure and we'll go into app events and we'll just do a save. In fact, I'm going to do a save and close, and we'll just do a reopen just to make sure that that has taken. Yes, it has. Not quite sure what I did there, but never mind. So we'll do a save and close, and we'll just do a compile and a save on there just to be sure. And if we do a test run, this time if we click onto here and we do add today's date, we get today's date. And if we do view the date picker, okay, we get a little problem with that as well. So let's have a look and see what we've got wrong now. Okay, I found the issue with this one. If we go into the Commuter Module, sorry, the context menu generator, and we look at view the date picker, and we look at the item ID, again we got the same problem here. We've got view underscore the underscore date picker. So if we copy that, you'll see here the date picker is all one word, whereas within the context menu designer we've got an underscore. So I'm not quite sure again why that happened, but we'll do a compile. We'll just do a save, and we go back to the form. This time, if we do a right mouse click, add today's date, right mouse click, we can now run the date picker. So that's how to very quickly and very easily create a context menu and hook it up to a control on our form, and then add code into a store procedure or a Commuter module to drive that context menu. Sorry about the few errors, but hopefully you've got an idea of how it all comes together. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.